welcome everybody. It's NewMutator, and I'm joined again by Paris. What's up, Paris? How's it
Hey, how's it
going?
going, man?
Hey, not too bad, man. So we're actually going to be looking at this year's finals match between Masters of Myth, the challengers, and TMNT 2.0, the defending reigning champions. Right? Is that a fair assessment?
Uh, Definitely. I mean, TMNT wasn't
Hello?
together last year on
Oh,
uh, this same squad. You got like GKG, Kruniak, Eastwind, Asmodean, Cryptos, Captain. Those are all guys from the same squad that won last year, so pretty much the same team in the finals defending their belt.
yeah, so I'm gonna have to apologize in advance for any kind of latency issues. That's definitely on my end, but we're gonna hopefully make it work. Rat King gonna be the challenger, well, the captain of the challenging team anyway. Lizard King, Gecko, Kron, Shadow, Limp, Argos, Adrenaline. I think Limp is a substitute this game. He's on the
Yeah,
NCR team.
yeah.
Whoa.
So is Gecko. Gecko's
Oh yeah,
also a
true.
substitute, so they must have been missing at least two players to play 8v8 here.
Right, and Rar did say that if he had been present for this match, he thinks MoM. But we'll see, we'll see. I don't want to spoil anything. Um, so yeah, this I do want to say before we look at the trades, which I hope you're doing by the way, because I wanted to say that this kind of matchup I think was precipitated by the after party tournament of 2012, Osmodian's draft tournament, where GKG and Rat King met in the finals, and that went all the way to Game 7, and I think Rat King actually came out on top. And probably because I was playing for GKG's team while that was for that tournament, but so we'll see. I think that was a little bit of a foreshadowing that's gonna culminate in this match. But yeah, go ahead, Paris. Let us know what you noticed about the trades.
Yeah, man. The traits are fairly similar here. You can see that Rat King is opting for less spiders, so PG is going for a more mobile strategy that'd be able to have,
Game
some better
on.
scouts too. But Rat King has units that are much more beefier, while he has less units overall. He's also split the Trow. He's given each Trow to an individual player, whereas GKG is keeping a Trow for himself, and he's passing two off to Eastwind. So
All
we've
yeah,
got a 2-to-1 to a three-way split.
right. I'll also notice that Rat King didn't trade for any warlocks, which GKG I think has three.
Ah, great point.
Flag captured.
And
Flag
They have
captured.
such a huge weakness against fetch and
Flag
players who know how to
captured.
use fetch. Just because the lightning bolt can
Flag
oh
captured.
yeah,
block
yeah, yeah. Oh
the
yeah,
shots at
Fetch
any
Fetch
time.
completely
So
dominate almost every
we'll have to
map
see
they're
how
on.
this works out
Yeah,
for his team.
right. Yeah, in my experience,
Perfect
Fetch,
counters, really.
yeah, Fetch are one of those units or unit types that you always max out whenever they're available. As well as Tro in most cases. I mean, I can't think of any
Flag
case when I
captured.
wouldn't max out Fetch. You there, Paris?
Flag captured.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
All right,
I'm just
cool.
watching.
Yeah, so what do you notice so
I
far?
know
I mean, it's
that
Flag
neither
Rally. Yep.
team was able to actually tag mid. They got there at the same time. Yeah,
Really?
they got to
Flag
that mid flag at the
captured.
same time, so it's still contested. It looks like GKG's team is going to take it over
Yeah,
as
GKG.
Wrecking steps off.
Yeah, GKG took it himself and
Flag
basically
captured.
chased. Who is this? Rat King has the tro for his team. So I guess yeah, both captains going mid, makes sense. But it looks like GKG and the TMNT
We
team.
got action up. that
Oh, wow.
northeast flag right now.
Yeah, it looks like
Looks
East
like East
Wind.
Wind.
Looks like he's losing one tro. Yeah, you're breaking up, man. I can hardly hear you, unfortunately.
Flag captured.
Oh, man, but
Flag captured.
HMP totally sniped that one fetch in just one volley.
Yeah.
Connection lost.
Well, there you have it. Looks like my connection is
Flag
bullshit.
captured.
Pardon my
Victory
French.
imminent.
Victory imminent already as Rat King
Was getting
and...
good.
Oh, there. Hey, how's it going? Yeah,
Connected.
looks like flag 1 is the only remaining flag that needs to be tagged for Rat King. And it looks like... who is this? Looks like Lizard King's already on the way, leading the cavalry here. And nobody's in a position...
Yeah, it looks like he's got it right here.
Yeah, no one's in a position to
He
defend.
just swept through the south. I mean, GKG's team didn't have anything down there except for 2 spiders.
But even if he didn't tag it, I mean, they did a good job splitting up the Mercuridia so that he couldn't
they were up.
tag it immediately. But so they're drawing it out. But even looking at the percentages at this point, it doesn't seem like GKG and the Turtles are going to be able to put up much of a fight. I mean, you never really know. But it seems like it's a dire situation when it's 25 percentage points separating these teams.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like if there was a team to be able to
That's
hold
true.
down
That's a
this
good point.
defense, it would be TMNT. But at the same time, as you said, it's such a large discrepancy.
Right.
In percentage. And not only that, they lost a lot of their Mercuria, which are pretty powerful on this map all around.
Yeah, true. Looks like Lizard King is swooping in, trying to do what he can. It looks like he might be able to take the flag, actually. He was waiting in the wings. And, yep,
Captured.
that's going to
Connection
be it.
lost.
And my connection goes out once again. Oh my gosh, I wonder if the finals are going to be this way. And I just wanted to reiterate that I did invite Rat King to... Hey, how's it going, Paris? I'm connected once again. This is unusual, but I guess it can't be avoided at this point. Yeah, I wanted to reiterate before we go any further that I did extend an invitation to Rat King. Unfortunately, he was not able to join me tonight. And... basically this is like the only time I have to do this cast, so I'm doing it right now. Even with all these issues, we're gonna go ahead and go through with it and hopefully bring you some insight into this match. But yeah, welcome back, Paris. Sorry you cut out, or I cut out. I guess it would be more accurate at the end there. What were you going to say with losing the Mercuridia and all that? Hello?
And that, even just checking over the stat now, I can see what happened.
Okay, there you go.
In that northeast fight, when Eastwind takes that flag, he loses a lot of his team's Mercuridia in the process.
Right.
And ultimately, that leads to Rat King being fall back to defend.
Rat King?
Yeah. No, I mean, like, TMNT had to back off.
Right.
When all they had left with the majority of their Mercuridia was mid, because the most of their northeast Mercuridia are destroyed in the process of tagging the north prong and been able to support each other. But I think rushing in a little too early in a risky situation ultimately cost them this victory, cost them too much Mercuridia getting killed, and really let adrenaline take advantage of that northeast battle. And Lizard King to and
Yeah, I do want to mention Lizard King. I think did a pretty splendid job with the Tro, keeping that pressure on that flag. But looking at the
take the defensive
stats,
flag while they're to even their,
oh
you
man,
know, trying out the percentage. You got Rack King 7-0 flawless victory for a captain. You don't see that too often.
yeah,
And then
that
you
I
got
guess it helps that there's no
Adrenaline.
whites. Yeah,
Huge amount of damage out of this guy.
yeah, 84 damage, which is I don't even know what units he had. Did he have fetch? I mean, what did he have? Oh, I'm
No, he
looking at
had
the wrong team.
Trow and he had Mercridia.
Oh, that explains it.
Because if you remember, Rat King split the Trow. Each player had like one, and then they had a
Right.
Merc pack.
Okay,
So,
so Adrenaline
Adren
was the
really,
one. He's the one
he
that
got a lot of his
basically.
damage from killing.
Yeah, so he was the one that basically went toe to toe with Eastwind on that flag, is what I hear you saying, right? Flag 5 or flag 2?
Yeah, and while he lost a number of units, his
Mm-hmm.
team showed up to support him. He was able to take out a Trow, and he did a massive amount of damage just in that little battle right there. And I
Right.
feel like it put the game in Rat King's ballpark to allow them to just sweep around and take everything else.
Right. And looking at the Turtles, we see Eastwind tried to break even, and he may have done that. He garnered a lot of damage. He had 60 damage to Adrenaline's 84. So they were both kind of the heavy hitters. Both teams were kind of relying on them to basically get the damage figures, and I guess Adrenaline came out on top in the end. Came through
Yeah.
for came through for
And,
the Masters of Myth.
you
Yeah.
know, I mean, I wonder why uh, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was so initially aggressive because if you recall their strategy, yeah,
Yeah, they tagged the middle flag first, right? So they didn't need to be aggressive because they tagged. They had that advantage. I mean, I don't know what you're saying because you're just in and out. Oh man, I gotta look into this. This might be an actual issue.
Connection lost.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm gonna end it there, and we'll see you in game 2, and hopefully I can ascertain the nature of the issue in the meantime. But thanks for joining me, everyone, and yeah, I look forward to casting these finals games for you and wrapping up the Myth World Cup 2015. See you in game 2.
Game over.
And we're back. It's NewMutator, and I'm joined again by Paris here in Game 2 of the Myth World Cup Finals in the year 2015. So, what's going on, man?
not much, man.
All right, good.
This is another map I haven't seen before, so it looks like we'll be getting a fresh look at this over here, huh?
Right. So the what's the name of this map? Totally
I think
escapes
it's
me.
under Merthemni.
Okay, and it's like the caverns or catacombs or something underneath the mythical city of Mirthemni.
Yeah, the main
Whoa.
capital in that single player game that no one plays anymore.
Yeah,
But yeah, man.
I just thought I heard something on the map somewhere, some localized sound. Oh. Oh, what the heck? There's
Where are
a
you looking?
all the way in the bottom left corner, there's like brigands and archers with a Merilith. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and do you see like all the special swords and items that are around and shit? Oh
No.
wow, I see that now.
Yeah, that's weird, right?
Ah,
Where are the special
yeah.
swords?
I wonder what happens if players go too close to the Merilith.
Yes,
Or I guess it just got stoned right there.
the Merilith. Oh, all the way down
Yeah.
here. Where was this?
I
Oh
just
man.
watched it explode and get
Oh yeah,
stoned.
no,
Anyway,
it's off the map. Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah. Anyway,
yeah,
back
I
to
guess
our
we should
riveting
forget
series.
these side distractions.
Yeah, so it's king of the map. And what I don't know. Let's analyze these trades, I guess. I'm not even sure what unit types are available on this
It's all
mesh.
light units. It's your basic light setup. You got your archers, your dwarves, warriors, thrall and ghouls. And on top of that, you got the fell warriors, which are like special warriors. They can block arrows. They're stronger and faster, and they attack faster than warriors. And then you got your journeymen and your whites as well.
So both teams getting looks like mobile trades. No Bowman. Well, mobile enough. It looks like there's a number of thrall here for MoM. And actually, both teams have a significant uh, battalion of thrall.
Yeah, lots of melee units. You don't see. I imagine both teams traded by now. You don't see archers for either team, so they're going for some good old melee battles, and you get some goals with pus and some duffs to shake things up.
It makes sense to get like the fastest units available since you're basically going to have to be moving across the map to tag these flags over and over and over again, as the case may be. So
Yeah, King of the Map is tricky like that. It's kind of got its own dynamic outside of pretty much every other game type. I mean, not only is it new, so it's different information to process, but the combination of territories and King of the Map, it causes for quite the amount of chaos to happen. I'm sure, like once these teams meet up, there's just gonna be little pockets and battles happening everywhere, all over the map, just because the players are constantly trying to tag and contest new flags, increase their team's time.
Flag captured.
yeah, so I'm looking at mid right now, and it looks like that's going to be firmly
Flag captured.
in basically it's going to be possessed by Masters of
Rat
Myth.
King's goals.
Yeah.
But
Although
you
Dak
see,
has a
you got
dwarf coming up like right now, so
yeah.
Flag
and I don't see
contested.
anything comparable from the MoM side.
Flag captured.
I see two more dwarves coming up mid, so it looks like there's gonna be a nice little
Flag
dwarf battle mid.
captured.
Um,
Flag contested.
Pretty substantial amount of melee going northeast from GKG's team. Um, Whereas in the southwest, you got a nice little force coming from Rat King that should be able to
Flag contested.
overwhelm that smaller force down in the southwest.
Flag captured.
Yeah, it looks like some
Oh, you
pus is
got
getting thrown down in the
Adrenaline's
north.
all jogged up. He's getting eaten.
Though
Yeah.
Contested.
there was a dud pus thrown at him, so he was able to avoid almost certain death. Actually,
Until then.
and that freezes almost all of his melee, but there is a counter pus
Contested.
almost immediately.
Yeah, and he lost a couple of melee right there too, I believe.
But he
And then down in the
managed.
southwest, we got Kruniak. Both his dwarves are already pussed. We got Kron and Lizard King moving in for the kill on both of those.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So, but basically, those dwarves got neutralized without them. Well, I don't know. Did they deal any damage? I'm not sure if they did.
No, they really didn't do much of anything.
Yeah, Kron's gonna
Pretty
chase.
easily dispatched. A very, very nice trade for Rat King's team regardless.
Yeah, as
They continue to try to push that. Mid's still pretty much standoff battle fight. I mean, duff fight.
yeah, there's a Mahir in there somewhere. I don't even know if they're probably. Oh,
Flag
I wonder if they're
contested.
programmed to like randomly just freeze a unit temporarily or not, like attack at all.
They shouldn't be. But with Myth, who really knows what's gonna happen? um,
Well, it's all in the
they
map
might be fit.
actions, yeah.
They might be fit to attack once a little bit of health is taken off. I'm not sure, but it seems like they're just ambient.
Yeah, so
Uh,
yeah, it looks like there is a showdown sort of in this center-ish area, as it looks like GKG and Kryptos are chasing somebody. They're actually headed right towards that middle area. They want to sandwich, I think. No, no, I don't know what they're doing.
It looks like they're getting sandwiched themselves. They might have tried for a mid push there to try to sandwich their mid, but Rat King's forces have gone around and they've reinforced that mid.
Captured.
Now Adrenaline has to retreat. I mean,
Captured. Flag contested. Flag.
Yeah,
captured.
Adrenaline's being chased by
Flag
Kryptos.
contested.
his units are too weak to really turn around and fight. He doesn't want to risk it. It's a smart move to just back up.
Looks like a thrall battle. Oh my gosh, whoever's Puskal that was just
Flag
pussed themselves.
contested.
I guess they flinched.
Yeah.
Contested. Flag captured.
And then,
Captured.
yeah, I just watched some goal plus
Flag
Thrall
contested.
mid, unfortunately.
So its percentages are really close, 60, 56%. Huge pus going down on Kryptos. Looks like Adrenaline is going to be able to clean that up, I think.
Oh, he's definitely going for it. Well, you got a pretty large force from Eastwind and HMP there moving. Seems like they've won that
yeah.
north battle. You got Eastwind moving towards the north. Well, HMP is getting ready to go around, tag all the northwest flags, which I don't see any defense from Rat King or any scouts up there at all. So this, even though Rat King has a flag advantage right now, it seems like that's in
Yeah,
danger of being
Kruniak
lost.
is en route to the northwest flag. I think he's going to be able to tag that uncontested. Meanwhile, there's still some forces arrayed from both teams here in the mid,
Flag
which is
captured.
a hotly contested area, as well as in the southeast. Looks like Captain is going to be cleaned up by Lizard King. Although Lizard King is in danger. Well, Kryptos is on the way, as well as Argus and GKG. So I guess Lizard King's actually going to fight.
It looks like he took it all down. He's just chased them around now.
Flag captured.
So Rat King's team right now is a 12% advantage.
Yeah, and they're
Not to mention they own
firmly
3
in the
more
lead.
flags than
Yeah.
the other team.
Contested.
Well, one more flag right now, but they are in the lead
captured.
by 2.5 minutes or
Flag
so.
captured. Flag
As
contested.
I guess it's gotten down to smaller
Flag
squads.
contested. Flag contested.
Yeah, most of the meat is gone.
5 minutes remaining.
Dak is going to use the small pus
Flag
on his goal
contested.
to try to
Flag
whittle down
captured.
that force. It's actually a pretty effective
Flag
tactic
contested.
when it gets to be
Flag
in the
contested.
late game and there's fewer units available to either team. That can make or break a game.
Flag captured.
Especially if your
Flag
opponent isn't
captured.
paying attention. I mean, you can
Flag
just pick that bus up over again and again
Oh, yeah.
and
Flag
never take
contested.
any damage from the warrior.
Yeah, true that. As both teams are
Flag
scrambling for these
contested.
flags.
Flag
Looks like
captured.
Rat King's
We've got a
team
14%
still in the lead.
advantage right now
yeah.
for Rat King.
Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty good for them. There's 4 minutes remaining.
Flag contested.
Although Kryptos, it looks like,
Flag
is going to clean up
captured.
Argos. And
Flag contested.
yeah, I guess
Ouch.
Flag captured.
that puts a dent in their percentage advantage.
And you got Asmodee move to the Thrall over there to secure that flag.
captured.
It's 7 to floor.
Flag contested.
Uh-oh, it looks like
Flag captured.
Eastwind
Flag
trying to make
contested.
something happen here
Flag
on
captured.
Adrenaline.
Flag contested.
Ouch. He
Flag
got him.
captured. Flag captured.
Wow.
Flag
And just like
contested.
that, the percents are fucking close as all hell again.
Yeah, I mean, Shadow
Um,
survived with 2 warriors, and those are going to be cut down since there's a goal
Flag
chasing him.
captured.
There's nobody. That's yeah.
percents are even, so that little tiny microfight in the East
Flag
seems pretty
captured.
significant to, give GKG's team a chance to get back with the time in the flag control.
Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden they have 6 flags to 3, and there's 3 minutes
Flag
remaining.
contested.
So that
Flag
time can
contested.
stack if they keep this up. And I think there's sufficient time for them to regain the
Flag
lead.
contested.
And they're just all over the map now. Like I'm checking out my map and I can
Flag
see
captured.
at least a black unit near at least every flag except for their northwest. Whereas Rat King's units, they seem to only be around 4, 5, maybe 6 of the flags,
Flag
and
captured.
a couple of them that aren't even defended. There isn't even a unit present to defend them. They would be
That's
easy
true.
captures,
Flag
easy time.
contested.
Yeah, and
Um,
it looks
Flag
to me like
contested.
they're kind of sticking
Flag
together,
captured.
and I
Flag
think
captured.
that can actually work against them because a lot of them are tied up in the north, but that's like most of their remaining army is basically on one flag.
Contested.
yeah. I mean, you got that group mid. You got that group. They have a large group north. I mean, you got 2 dwarves up there, 2 journeymen. That's a huge chunk of percentage. So, like, I
Oh
think
yeah,
GKG's team might
Flag
actually have a
contested.
unit advantage here. I think they have more units on the map, quite frankly.
Flag captured.
Um,
Flag
oh yeah, because of those
contested.
dwarves. All of a sudden, their utility isn't
Flag
being
captured.
accessed. It doesn't seem like they're able to do much in this kind of situation.
Flag contested.
maybe control one flag tops, but they're not the fastest units. They're easily rushed.
Flag captured.
We only got about a minute
Flag
left here.
contested.
GKG's team is retaking the lead
Flag
in
captured.
time, and they have
Flag
quite a
captured.
stranglehold on the flags, it seems.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of the unit trading
1 minute
points
remaining.
of Arcade's team is basically in goals, which their utility, they're great at contesting flags, but for actually muscling off the defending force, they're not really that great without any kind of support.
It's such
Oh,
a
well,
large percentage advantage.
it
I
worked on that
mean,
flag.
it
Yeah.
might be because they had all those goals, and
30
that strengthened their
seconds
goals. It
remaining.
actually became their weakness. Um,
Flag contested.
Yeah, although I
just
think
because
Flag captured.
they had such a ridiculous percentage advantage, and now it's
right.
cut down. They're not in the
Well,
lead
check it
anymore.
out. Yeah, exactly. TMNT all of a sudden they're in the lead by 2 minutes, and
Flag
there's 10 seconds
captured.
remaining. So
Flag
it looks
contested.
like they're gonna come away with the
Flag
game. Although if the
captured.
game went on longer,
Flag
I think
contested.
perhaps
Flag
the Masters of Myth could have prevailed, but it just they didn't have enough time to get to that point in the time that was
Yeah,
allotted
they
them.
were banking on 1 or 2 more minutes, I
Yeah.
imagine. I mean, just seems like for a king of the map, it's as if goals are pretty strong in the early game. They're scouting, they can get the early flag contests and stuff like that. But as you said, by the late game, like they're just really too weak to be able to hold a flag, and that's really what you need.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I'm not sure what happened to their other units, but you know they they had all the wrong units that by the end game for taking flags. I mean, they could systematically they if it was just a straight up BC fight at that point, perhaps they would have won because they had a ton of dwarves, right? They had I don't know how many dwarves they had remaining, but it was like 2 or 3, I think, right? At least.
Yeah, but dwarves aren't exactly the best pushing units. They're not the best to
Right.
roam around the map. They're more defensive. So like when you're in a situation where you have like 9 different flags, you're looking at, and you want to hold like 5 of them, and you got, your only 2 remaining dwarves just sitting on 1 flag. Like, you're in a very bad position to be able to defend any of those other flags. You got all your assets in one spot, which has the same value as the other 8. Like, it's a very tough situation, man.
Well, actually, I can't
Unfortunate,
seem to
man.
find any of their doors. So maybe they didn't last that long. But yeah, I mean, the percentages were really tight at the end. There was only a 2% spread.
Yeah, man. But, hey, let's take a look at these stats, man.
Yeah, dude. It looks like East Winds really pulled through for the TMNT team. 19 kills to 5 losses is pretty good ratios, all things considered. 35 damage is going to be second highest on his team. First highest was actually GKG with 37, which is remarkable in that he was captaining and it was a map that called for pus.
Yeah, they must have healed at least 6 weights, so that's it's like -12 right there, and
Hmm.
he must have had like 49 damage right there. So he really hit some nice targets.
Yeah, but
Eastwind, as you said, he did great too. You got Kruniak coming in with 20 damage. He took a lot of losses, but a lot of that was just Thrall getting eaten, basically.
oh yeah, that's true. Um, Yeah, and I think we were discussing this earlier, but I don't think it was on the cast. But those are like the 3 core players of the TMNT team. GKG, Eastwind, and Kruniak. I would say. The other players, they're essential, but they're how would you put it? To my mind, they're like the players that they're like the core players, and everyone else is like an extension of that. They're making
Yeah,
room
I
for
mean, I
them.
wouldn't call them an extension, but I would call them support. They're role
Yeah,
players. They have a specific job, and they need to support those core players, because when your core players lose their matchups, like, they need to be able to bounce right back into the game, and they'll be able to help your team. Whereas if your if your if your supports um, aren't there to be able to support those core players, and let's say they're a little selfish, they don't want to give their units away, that can end up costing your team a lot. But I mean, when it comes down to it, I would call that term like a role play, basically.
true that, true that. All right, so let's look at MoM. And it looks like Kron actually posting up some pretty big numbers. 16 kills to only 2 losses for him, which you know it he only got 20 damage, so that might be misleading as well. Maybe those are all Thrall.
Yeah,
I don't
you
know.
definitely could be some Thralkas. With that damage only at 20, yeah, I would say that he definitely chopped up a lot more Thrall than anything like Goals, Warriors, that can also be misleading, because you never know when he's redistributing units or his
Right.
captain's giving units away.
Right, the fact
So,
that he has
it
4
says,
survivors and 2 losses, and that's what they equal 6 units. Like, he probably had more than that.
yeah, definitely. That's what I'm thinking.
And actually, Lizard King did pretty well in the South. He had 14 kills, 10 losses, 32 damage. And he and Adrenaline posted up damage numbers that rivaled GKG and Eastwind. So that's how close this game was. 32 and 31, respectively, for them.
Yeah. I think Crawdon's got the same amount as Kruniak. It's interesting when you look at the numbers. You can see who those core players are and who the role players are. Um, I got a question for you though, NewMutator. We
Yeah.
were talking about the big 3 for TMNT, and let's forget that Rat King's MoM team has a little bit different roster on paper than actually who showed up in the finals. Who would you say is their big 3?
I'm not too sure, but definitely Adrenaline, I would say. And
Yeah,
probably
he's up there.
Lizard King. I would want to say Lizard King and Adrenaline for sure. And I don't know what the other one would be.
All right, would you throw Gecko there? Would you throw Kron in there? I mean, they're
Well,
both very solid players. Gecko's a little more rusty, so I guess I would put Kron in at three prong, but it's like they have four core players rather
yeah,
than
I would
GKG's
say that.
team three.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. Like the way that their team is built, it has a different kind of structure to it. In terms of like what the players' capabilities are, what they're entrusted with. I think there's perhaps more flexibility with that, as you know. Uh, I think a number of players on their team are pretty happy with like um, like a heavy hitter role, for instance. I don't know. What
Yeah.
would you say? This is probably BS, but I'm thinking like Dak, probably not too comfortable heavy hitting. HMP, I don't think would be too comfortable heavy hitting. Cryptos probably prefers to be support. If I'm, I could be completely misreading everything, but I think he's happy
No,
not to
I
take a central role.
I think you're pretty much dead on,
But
dude.
that's just my
Yeah,
impression.
you're right. Crypto's support player, that makes sense. I mean, they have low damage amounts, but they were doing important work. Like, Dak has 1 kill, 11 losses, 7 damage, but at the same time, he pretty much held Rat King's team mid the entire game, even though they had, a little bit more dwarf support. And he got lucky that Rat King's team was autoing on themselves with the pus mid. They were like autoing on Thrall and just
Yeah, they had
I don't
some
know.
unfortunate
Numbers don't
mishaps.
always speak for what a player can do, and neither do roles. And I think Doc being
Absolutely.
able to hold down mid here with just a couple thrall, that's some magic right there.
Yeah, I agree. And word on the street is that Dak was match MVP, but
Ooh,
we'll get there.
really?
We'll get there.
Cool,
Maybe.
man. Well, we'll have to see how this develops, man. Because I can see, you
All
know,
right.
hey,
Yeah. All
it's
right.
good, man.
Okay. Well, that's game two, and stick around, and we'll bring you game three coming up next.
All right.
Over.
Cool, cool. Right in time for.
Okay, and we're back. It's NewMutator, joined by Paris, bringing you some Myth World Cup 2015 action as my computer tries to figure out what's going on. Okay. Anyway, it's here in 2015, everyone. How you doing? Having a good year, Paris?
Yeah, man, it's a pretty good year. Stacking the money, paying off the debts, bro. That's what life is about in good old America.
Apparently. Okay, so yeah, game three so far. Rat King took game one for Masters of Myth. Game two went the way of GKG and the Turtles. Although it looked like Rat King could have, I mean, the Masters of Myth had it within their grasp, but just the way the cookie crumbled, TMNT was able to come back, claw their way back in, and snatch that game out of the claws of almost certain victory. That almost made sense. Anyway, this is game three, Zodiac Hillbillies. What is this? Captures? Okay,
Yeah,
interesting.
one of my favorites, man. No one likes captures, but I do, man. You can move. Basically, it's Terry's, but you get to move the flags wherever you want, man.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I think the reason people don't like captures is because the balls are highly exploitable. You can just blow them up wherever, and all that kind of stuff. But this map is interesting because it has ambient whites just walking around randomly that do explode upon death.
Yeah, man. Even just the layout. I always enjoyed this map and playing on it, and the layout. It just causes for a lot of different scenarios that you don't usually get in most myth maps. Like most of them are nice, wide and open, unlike this one or the last one with the
Oh yeah,
catacombs. This kind
yeah.
of forces players into interesting corners and angles that cause for some pretty good micro fights.
You really have to have a sense of how the map fits together because it's not right angles and squared away. It's like It's almost like a labyrinth.
Yeah. Yeah, and it looks like it's pretty much reciprocating.
Well,
It reciprocates itself though. It's not that random. It's parallel to itself.
oh yeah, it should be. They should have comparable, on either side. But let's look at the trades really quick. What do you notice? There's Heron Heroes, which is very rarely seen, but looks like there's only one Bowman for the Masters of Myth, and actually there's looks like both teams got the one Bowman for the fire
Game
arrows,
on.
but looks like there's these Brayunor ninjas, which is the other thing, Zodiac Hillbillies on either team. They're like the overpowered artillery unit, except they're not artillery.
They're like overpowered archers.
Yeah. So that's why
Um,
you don't get the archers. You only get one for the fire arrows. I'm guessing for possibly some kind of like pus fire arrow shenanigans. But the other thing is
Ball
the dwarven
captured.
heroes.
Ball captured.
So a couple of hero units, modified unit in the form of the Bray ninjas, which are like crazy. If I remember
yeah.
correctly, they're absolutely insane.
You can twitch them around and everything. Like normally on when you look at this map, you think, oh, Heron Guard heroes. So that's like the
Ball
power players
captured.
units. You know, the heavy hitter's gonna take those. That core player,
What's
you're
up
gonna
with the
trust
ball
him with those.
placement? Hold
But
on.
you got
Are you
the
seeing this? Look on the
Ball
east
captured.
flag. What's up with the ball placement
Ball
on that?
captured.
Or not
I
east
don't
flag,
see.
but the east ball. That Arcade's team just captured
Ball
with the Zerks.
captured.
Lizard King. Never mind, it's not that important.
Yeah, I don't know if I seen it. The one that's where the ball's right in between the dude's ass crack.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
know if that was intentional or not. I'm like,
Captured.
well, it's got to be intentional. Somebody placed it there.
Well, it's also in the center, but all of those, most of the balls
True.
in the
Ball
interior,
captured.
they're all
Ball
on those little
captured.
zodiac symbols.
Ball contested.
Hence the name Zodiac Hillbillies.
Ball contested.
Yeah. Um.
Looks like Kryptos is going to engage with Gecko, but Gecko's going to chase him back out. HMP's coming to his rescue. Oh, and
We got
some pus
HMP
gets
getting
down.
pussed. Gecko should be able to eat him up pretty
Ball
quick.
contested.
Yeah, Gecko actually
Oh, another
finds time to
fucking
taunt.
puss, dude. Look at that.
Oh, wow. Now that is
And
really
Gecko
something.
shows you why you shouldn't underestimate
That was really
dude,
strange.
No matter if he's played one game of
Ball
Myth
captured.
or a million.
Did you see the trajectory of that? That was not. He threw it up in the air like a
It definitely looked a little
parabola.
awkward.
Yeah, there
It
was.
happens on these maps that, like this map, it seems like you can, at least while you're in the game, I know in observer mode you
Uh-oh.
can zoom out more, but in the game, the map itself is pushed downward more.
Hmm.
All the elevation is much lower, so while you're able to see more, it causes the physics of the game to change a little.
So Kryptos is gonna chase Gecko out, but we see
Ball captured.
mid. There's the gigantic ninja fight. These Bray Unor ninjas. And oh, what? Okay, that Bowman didn't look. That's a regular Bowman, right? That's not like a.
Yeah, these are ordinary bows. I'm surprised that they haven't used any of the flame arrows. I mean, each of these bowmen have
4.
4 flame arrows. It'd be perfect.
Oh, there's one, but I mean that doesn't do
Drop
anything.
those flames a little bit sooner. Yeah, the Brie are too fast. They can just move out
They're
of the way.
ninjas, man. You can't
Ball
compete.
contested.
We found. I think
Yeah,
we
right.
discovered this in 2012 that
Ball captured.
Brayunor ninjas are superior to Bowmen in almost every respect. In every respect.
Oh yeah, man. I'm pretty sure in that tournament we actually exploited that against whatever opponent we were. I remember being in the finals for that one, but I think it was like the bottom bracket finals. We were up against some team, might have been NP or something.
This is pretty
Or
chaotic.
it might have even been the finals actually, and we
This is turning into
just
a
gave Genghis the
last
the
man on
ninja
the
Brie,
hill.
and they went wild.
yeah. I
yeah.
mean, everybody's kind of.
Not to mention,
Huh.
On this map,
What's up?
if you pick the archers, they're slower than every other melee unit, right? But if you pick the Brionneur, they can move fast. They can pretty much outrun the mauls. Still cause a Heron Guard hero or a Zerk to give quite a bit of chase before it actually catches up to you. So, picking archers here would leave any team a disadvantage. So it's nice to see that both of these teams didn't bother with that nonsense.
Well, the other thing is archers don't really have a melee attack. They have the stabbing action, which does like almost 0 damage. While the Bray, I think, do, but yeah, more importantly, they're fast enough to to engage on their own terms.
Ball.
Yeah, that's why you'll notice the Twitch players have them. You got Kron and Adren packing the heat for MoM, whereas
Ah,
Kruniak and Eastwind, they got the ninjas for GKG. And Kruniak and Eastwind are notorious ancient veterans of the World War II mod, so
right.
I would actually
That
be
makes a lot of
surprised
sense.
here if they lost the brief fight
Yeah,
straight up. I don't
absolutely.
see
I
it happening.
100% agree with you. And actually, ever since this mid fight began with both these teams, I think Masters of Myth are allowing TMNT to play to their
Ball
strengths
captured.
because they're engaging here. But ever since this big mid battle began, the lead has steadily increased for TMNT.
Yeah, I mean Gecko had
Ball
that
contested.
short-lived victory in the
Ball
Southwest,
captured.
but
Sure.
since then, in the Northeast, it looks like Doc won that out, or at least Lizard King had to adjust to go help mid because mid's just getting corned.
Yeah.
Um, they're like you said,
Ball
man.
captured.
They're allowing TMT to make them play the game they want to play, and they're pushing them into this little corner. It's hard for them to defend. You can see them kind of spread out now, but their Brionneur is still clumped together. They're in a really tough area, man. Pretty easy for them to get pinched, but it seems like they're pushing. They're making a move. Doc's coming up from behind. You got Asmo on a dwarf over there from behind too, and I
Yeah,
think the game's
definitely.
gonna be decided right here, man.
Yeah, well, the other thing to consider is it's 9 balls to 4, so somehow, the TMNT just ran away
5
with
minutes
with
remaining.
the lead, it seems.
Yeah, they had the ball lead. They had the percent lead.
Oh,
It would
yeah, it's over.
if I was
Argos.
if I, ooh, that's tough.
Although
I mean,
they
I
were
feel
able
like
to take out the lone archer for TMNT. Limp, though, is pressing on. He's not had enough. He wants to get something going here. He's able to dodge a few of those, but yeah, he gets an okay shot off. He gets a lot of damage on, but uh-oh, that pus goes down. I think he's done for. There he goes.
Yep.
Didn't even drop his satchels. Ouch. Yeah, it looks like Dak is on the move, man. He's aiming for those sensitive Bray, and they're actually getting cornered right now. Yeah, it looks like it's pretty much done. 65, 15%, 10
Yeah,
balls
I
to
mean,
3.
they were all over him. It came down to that last mid fight. I'm kind of surprised Rat King didn't opt to play for the clock here with such a huge disadvantage in not only balls but percentage as well.
Well, I think you hit the nail on
Um,
the head when
Ball
you
contested.
noted that Kruniak and Eastwind. I mean, I think they enjoy
Ball
using
captured.
these Bray because yeah, it taps their WW2 skills, man.
Yep.
So
I mean, and the whole thing with the WW2 skills and being able to move a unit that can dodge. I mean, the whole time you're really just moving that unit in a figure eight, but because it's constantly changing its area of direction, um, it makes it really difficult for anyone using auto attack to actually target you.
right, yeah, you have to control click or something. But for all you who don't know what we're talking about, WW2 was a quite popular mod for Myth 2 from back in the day. I don't know if it was the first, but one of the first that caught on and became kind of its own thing back in Myth's heyday.
Hey, there you go. You got Rat
Ball
King
captured.
acknowledging they good with Bree. He noticed that. Whoa, look at these stats, son. We got Dak 11 and 1. I'm pretty sure he matched up with Lizard King up in the
Yeah,
Northeast.
Dak
I don't think they actually battled, but it seems like Dak came in and cleaned them up like a motherfucker when that mid battle happened.
Dak, I think he had a dwarf, and he took out a number of those Bray. Like he had he swooped in. I saw him, man. He had blood in his eyes, or I don't even know what. I
Yeah, it
don't
was
even
blood
know.
in his dick.
But check this out, man. Kruniak 10 kills, 0 losses.
Woo!
He managed to hold on to every single one of his units the entire game. Pretty
And
impressive.
looks like he's got the most damage in the game as well at
Right,
56.
and just below him is Eastwind with 51. So that tells you a lot right there.
51?
How this game went. Well, both of
You cut
their
out?
damages combined
Lose you?
is their damages combined is 107, which is um
Yellow?
like what's that? Hello? Anyway, I just wanted to note that because it just that's like confirmation of
User
what we
in
were
your
just
channel
talking
timed
about.
out.
Oh, well, there you have it. Guess I got to look into that. Anyway, that's game 3. Stick around and we'll join you in game 4.
Game over.
Okay, and we're back. Welcome everybody. It's NewMutator, and I'm joined again by Paris in game 4 of the Myth World Cup 2015 in the match between Masters of Myth and TMNT 2.0. Led by GKG. Masters of Myth are led by Rat King. So I guess this map
What?
has a soundtrack. What's up with that?
Yo, I'm about to get my funk on. Oh, no, but really, so what's,
Oh, massive delay being experienced by players. This is, 960 MS ping. Holy crap, this is dramatic.
yeah, looks like Lizard King's having some latency problems.
Yeah, he's not the only one.
Unfortunate, but the games must go on. Now, what's the score right now? Is it 2-1 TMNT?
That's right, it's 2-1 TMNT coming into game 4. This is some long intro music, dude. This is Arcane Haven is the name of this map. West and East have to be demarcated on the map, but apparently people aren't smart enough to figure that out.
Really no surprise with the Myth community these days, but yeah, so what do we got going on with the percentages? Doesn't
Look at this.
I
Did you
won't
make
knock
this
on it
song?
too hard.
Did you make this song, Crip? It is demented, isn't it?
Yeah, this is demented as well. Oh, I think the album must have had the soundtrack here, but
Okay, I had to put the sound volume all the way down to 1%.
oh, I already turned it off.
And then
too.
when and then once I did that, it turns off. Yeah. What was I at? I don't even know. Okay, let's leave it there for now. Okay. Well, that was something that we're not used to. I'm not used to having to deal with intro music unless it's like a Mazcast or something like that. But that caught me off guard. Game 4, finally, right? Here in the finals. 2-1
Oh, yeah.
TMNT. They just took apart the MoM squad in that last game with their World War II skills. I think that may have been evidence of some collusion between, the TMNT captain, his choice of recruits, and the tournament organizer. I'm not sure.
I mean,
With
honestly, at the end of the
map
day,
picks. Potential controversy is all I'm saying.
you calling him out. No, but I mean, Kruniak and Eastwind are they're really good at being those micro Twitch players that you need to rely on in situations, especially with such an unorthodox unit like Brianor and Ninjas. They're basically buffed Brianor. You know, they're Brianor you would actually trade for, whereas the regular ones you're not gonna pick them up at all.
Right.
But
Yeah, absolutely. Now this is interesting because Rat King decided no archers, and GKG got a boatload of archers, split between looks like 4 players.
it's capture the flag, so I can actually see this becoming an issue if Rat King's team is suddenly able to overwhelm the flanks somewhere
Right.
and get to their home flag faster. Because you can see over on GKG side, you got these slow dwarves, these slow archers moving, and all this thrall leaving the home area. You only have 3 thrall on D. It's going to be really tough for them to make a quick retreat if it's necessary. I think what they're looking for is for a nice slow played out game where they can play their game. Whereas Rat King, I think he must have gotten a little pissed off what happened last time when TMNT just basically with the puppet masters, they made them do everything that they made MoM do everything that they wanted to do
Well,
last
they
game.
they got to play the game they wanted to play, as you said.
Yeah. That's one thing that the people who ended up winning the World Cup every year. It's always the team that made the other team play their game,
Yeah, you
and you
might
don't
be
want to
right.
be in that situation. You want your opponent to be playing your game.
You might be right. But another thing to note is on this map, there are Heron heroes, and so this map, it's a player submitted map. I think Crypto's made this specifically to be used in the finals. I'm not sure,
Yeah,
but
at least for big, large team games.
looks like both flanks are going to advance for MoM, but their mid force is going to retreat to the flag. I think trying to bait those archers to follow them. Perhaps? I'm not
Oh,
sure.
definitely. I mean, it would open up a really nice pinch. You can already see their west and east force kind of backing off a little at the same time. Like their west force is coming back towards the mid in
Right.
anticipation for that pinch. But at the same time, if I was on Rat King's team right now, I'd be like, all right, flanks need to just steamroll ahead because look at this. We got a huge portion of their percentage mid. We got
Now,
who? We got
the
Cryptos, we got
only
Captain,
yeah,
we got Doc, and we got Eastwind all mid. And that's over 40-50% of their team. So you send your merms, you send your warriors and your goals on a flank route. Like they're gonna have half their team at a commission,
well, that's what
you
they're
know.
doing in the East. I mean, Argos and Kron are completely, trying to wreak havoc here in the backfield. But the thing to be aware of is the presence of these Heron heroes cannot be overstated. I mean, the importance of them as an integral part of this game. The reason I say that is because with however many heals they start with, I'm thinking 9 probably, but they healed some whites for pus. But they can essentially do the work of as many more units. So nine units total. So I mean that if micro managed correctly, that they can basically their damage output can be maximized, and they will survive the entire time. Are you
Yeah,
there?
man. Their survivability is ridiculous. It was interesting to see MOM keep. Oh, they just lost that one of their Herons mid. Ouch. Adrenaline's laughing about it, but on the inside he's hurting.
Oh
Um,
yeah, you're just a
but
few
they
seconds ahead of me. But
they've
yeah, I
been.
just saw that.
Let me slow this guy down. But
That is actually that's a huge deal losing that Heron hero so early. And as you can see, like the entire mid force immediately retreats. They're like, oh,
yeah.
never mind. Let's get out of here. And that's what they're doing. They're like, okay, everyone to the flag.
I mean, those Heron heroes were preventing that mid from pushing. But at the same time, I wonder why. Like, you saw in the Northeast how HMP's able to hold the warrior and Merm pack, and it's just with the presence of the
Right.
Heron Guard hero alone, just by
Right.
having it
Yeah,
there.
I mean,
So like if
he
Rat
can
King had
easily
sent
slice
those,
through
if he
those
had,
warriors. Yeah, go ahead.
oh, just so easily, man, like butter and a hot knife, dude. And if Rat King had sent his Heron heroes on the flanks, I wonder if his team would already be at GKG's flag. But right now,
Well, they're making their way there. I mean, Argos is in the wings. Looks like they're trying to bomb. I don't know why. Did you see that? Kron nuked his own warriors for some reason. Not sure what that accomplished.
I'm not sure if that was a misclick or if he was trying to break a heel or
It was
he
a
got
pretty
so
good
lucky with
puss.
that dud. Jesus, that was intense, man.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're still just a little bit ahead of me, but Argos does get pussed. Um, and but there's nothing
I'm
there to back
ruining
it
it.
up, so I think he's gonna survive. But that force is gonna run into those archers. So meanwhile in mid there is a lot of stuff happening. As yeah, some of those archers, I guess they just got cleaned up.
Oh yeah, man, the fast moving melee. I mean, when they backed up
Okay, so
and
it's Lizard King to the rescue with his Heron Hero.
yeah, just barely able to keep it alive, but that's what the Heron hero is known for,
Oh yeah.
Those last second heals. And
Uh-oh.
a couple seconds ago, it was an 8% advantage. Now it's over 15% for Rat King's team, and they're just gonna clean up this mid pretty easily.
Flag contested.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. And there's nothing to stop him. I mean,
Flag
there's okay, all of
contested.
a sudden, yeah, Osmodian is here, but there's
5 minutes
nothing else there.
yeah,
You
you
came a
basically have
little
a
bit
bunch
late
of
to the
archers
party.
in Thrall in the northeast owned by two of TMNT's core players, but there is no way they would be able to put up with this amount of melee. I
Yeah,
don't
too
even
many
think.
archers. Too many archers,
eh,
not enough other stuff.
Yeah, man.
So I
Like
didn't
at the very
see.
least, they hit some dwarves. Could be a different story, but they don't got nothing, and I'm just gonna call it now. This is a wrap right here.
Well, Osmo and HMP both have Heron Heroes, but where's the third one? Because aren't there three? Or is it
I
only
only
two?
counted. I only counted two team.
Okay. Okay, you might be right. Adrenaline and Lizard King. So I got ahead of myself, I guess.
Yeah, no, because usually you'll see three Heron heroes on most maps that feature them, but none on this one,
Hmm.
which is
Interesting
interesting.
choice. Yeah, definitely. I think that that might. Uh, well, I was gonna say it might. The Heron Hero is such an important unit. It might keep the focus on conservation rather than just
Flag
overwhelming the
contested.
enemy. With an OP unit, they become even more important with fewer of them available.
Definitely.
But Gecko is going to be cleaning up. It looks like whoever this is, Eastwind. Was that a dud? I guess it was. And it looks like he is actually going to die right there. But he is able to buy enough time for his team to cut down the enemy archers to just one. 50 to 19% in the final 3 minutes.
Flag captured.
As
Ooh.
the flag just gets abandoned. I think probably a wise move, as there's really nothing to be able to, that you can do at that point.
Yeah. I mean, once their mid collapsed, the game was over. I mean, there was literally nothing. There was no safeguards at that point for TMNT to be able to pop out. I mean, they had one Heron left, and give a really really lucky lucky occurrence. They might have been able to pull out, but at that point, I mean, they had no dwarves to stop the oncoming melee force. Rat King's team had no archers. So
Yeah.
he pretty much completely outpicked
So
um,
all those unit trading points
TMNT.
are basically in a more rushy melee composition, and it really emphasizes the vulnerability of going a heavy archer strategy in this situation. Because once they're cut down, even with the presence of your Heron heroes, there's little you can do once you lose those, because that they take up a lot of unit trading points.
Yeah, I mean, Racking's team was just able to completely outposition pretty much every engagement just by being more mobile, having faster units.
Yeah, even
Whereas,
even with that early loss, losing Adrenaline's Heron hero.
they wanted the slow game, man, and they just really didn't get it here.
Yeah,
You see this recurring theme throughout the finals where you have these light maps, and teams won't pick archers, and it's for this very reason that in the at least the current version of Myth, like it's
in the
just
meta game,
wiser
you
to
mean?
max that melee and go rush someone.
I think it
Back in the
depends
day,
on
you had
the.
players.
Yeah, I want to say it depends on the game type, though. I mean, that has a lot to do with the trade, right? Or do you not pay attention to that?
I mean, I could see that affecting the trade, but even then, when you just look at it unit for unit, body count for body count, um,
So you're saying
like
even
you
that
know,
aside, regardless of the game type, the current meta emphasizes fast melee.
yeah, and positioning and tactics, and you really lose that with archer units. I mean, they're
True.
weak. They only shoot once every 30 seconds or so. So
I don't think it's
you're
30
kind of
seconds,
able to
but
just walk all over them.
I mean they have their place for sure. And the when both teams get archers, then that changes the dynamic. But when one team gets archers and one team doesn't, uh, in the games we've looked at so far, it seems to favor the team that doesn't. But I could be wrong. I'd have to do an exhaustive survey of.
Yeah, that's what it looks for me too, man.
All right. Well, do you have anything to say about the stats for this game?
Yeah, hold up for a sec. Let me review them.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, looks like Limp, 20 kills to 6 losses. Pretty good ratios, 28 damage. Going to be the most for his team, and indeed in the entire game, it looks like. So,
I mean, that's actually really impressive from Limp. Um, you know, people often say he doesn't really deserve any credit for his teams being strong or being powerful, but he kind of brings intangibles to the table where, he's not exactly a core player, and in this case he's subbing. But he brings these intangibles to the table, and that's what you want your support players to be able to bring to the
that's true.
table.
Yeah, you don't want him to be reliably. You don't want them to be too reliable in that all they do is support. You also want them to occasionally take the initiative or whatever. I'm not sure if I'm explaining this very well, but yeah.
It's you hit you got it right. I mean, you want them to be flexible. You don't want them to just be dependent on that support role. I mean, in this game, you have Adrenaline, the Lizard King. They have the Heron Guard heroes. You're gonna expect them to get all the kills.
Mhm.
And then at the end of the game, you're looking at the stats. It's like Limp, 20 kills, 6 losses. How do you do that?
I don't know, but he
He just
managed to
had a
have
bunch of
more.
warriors. He mopped up that mid. I'm pretty sure he was engaged in that mid battle, and then
Oh,
that's where a
absolutely.
lot of the fight went, and that's where a lot of the mistakes were made that cost TMT. At least beyond the initial unit trade.
Yeah, so he had 20 kills, and it looks like a total of 12 units, half of which uh, lost their lives valiantly, but the other half survived. So, but you're right. He managed to outperform in terms of just sheer numbers the two Heron Hero users on his team, Adrenaline and Lizard King, who they weren't able to post those numbers, even though Heron Heroes are like they're like the unit on this map that the entire team is built around.
Yeah, if you have a player you can trust with those, then that's definitely what you're going to be trying to do. Um, Taking a little look at these other stats.
Yeah, check out Dak's damage. Do you see that?
21 damage. Yeah, man.
That's the most
He,
on his team.
I definitely feel like. Oh, you remember? He got that nice little pot shot on. I think it was Adrenaline's Heron Hero, and
Oh, yeah,
and
that's
that's
what,
when we were like, oh,
eight
that
damage?
advantage, that advantage. They're down a Heron. GKG's team has that advantage. So
True that.
that was a great play by him right there. Must be those old TFL skills he's got.
Yeah, the random bounce. All right, cool. Well, let's wrap up. This was game 4, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and move into game 5. So stick around and we'll see you there.
Team eliminated.
It's game 4, right?
Game over.
Yeah, that was game 4.
The music.
Yeah, now that I'm looking at these.
All right, everybody, it's NewMutator joined by Paris, and we're bringing you Game 5 of the Myth World Cup 2015 finals match between MoM in the Northeast and TMNT 2.0 in the Southwest. So it's tied up 2 games apiece. Last game, even though the map was designed by Cryptos, I felt like, well, I know you were sort of communicating that it might have been considered a throw. Paris?
I mean, I don't know if I'd call it a throw. I question that Archer strategy. Whatever they were trying to do with it, it didn't work at all. I mean, RK's team was just more mobile. They would have forced GKG's team to go all around the map, whereas what GKG's team really needed was for RK's team to fight them like face up and and be put themselves in a bad position to just get pushed back to their flag. I mean, they lacked a lot of mobility, though. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough one to call. I'd have to probably review it again to have something more to add. But, well, it's a fresh beginning here in Game 5. This is the map designed by HMP, another player on TMNT, as you see there.
Foreshadowing, but um, yeah. So we also got some basic Trow Terry's trades here, except rather than 5 Trow on the map, I think the maximum is 3.
Yeah, it looks that way. I do want to mention too that HMP and Rat King were longtime order mates, I think, in R3, if I'm not mistaken.
Um, HMP might have been in R3, yeah.
Oh, he was totally in R3, I think. I could be mistaken, but
I mean, I remember
that's my impression.
when R3 was popping up, HMP's team was mental.
Oh yeah, Mental, that's right. Totally. Was
Almost
Rat
forgot that, huh?
was Rat King in Mental?
I don't think so. He was doing his own team.
What team was he doing?
Ratty's Rambunctious Rebels.
Aha. That's R3. Okay,
Yeah.
so well, I might have just a demented memory, but yeah. So what do you notice about these trades?
Um, let's see. We got Rat King over here. He's only got
It's like
3
4
Warlocks
warlocks.
for 2 Morts, whereas
Yeah.
you look at GKG's trade and they have less mauls but more artillery.
Yeah,
So
significantly fewer mauls for TMNT.
they're totally looking to take advantage of that too. And then if they get into a BC fight with Rat King, they should be able to outposition and outplay Rat King's team just by the sheer amount of artillery they have, and they have players that are experienced being able to use those units pretty easily.
Which units? The warlocks? And
I mean, the
the
warlocks, the mortar dwarves. I
yeah,
mean,
Flag
this is also an
captured.
8-on-8. You know,
true.
most other Myth World Cups matches, they're
Flag
all played on
captured.
7-on-7. So you get that extra player there. You get an extra person watching a part of the map, an extra person handling units.
Flag captured.
And
It's
having those
indeed
extra
fishy.
pieces of artillery are good, you know. Whereas if this was like a
Flag
2-on-2,
captured.
you'd probably be taking a shitload of melee and just duking it out in mid.
Oh, it looks like
Flag
Lizard
captured.
King has 2 tro. Adrenaline has 1, and the tro for TMNT I think are more equitably split. Eastwind has 1, GKG has 1. Where's the third tro? Oh, here it is. And Kruniak has 1. So there you go. The 3 core players for TMNT each have a tro.
Yeah, they're three-pronged in two. You got one mid,
Flag
one north, one
captured.
in the south. It's very
Flag
similar to
captured.
what MoM did on the first map, where they split their trio up. So this should be pretty interesting. It's flag rally too, same game type
Flag
as that
captured.
first round. What we got going on over here in the middle? I mean, it seems like they're matching up pretty nicely.
Well, it was just interesting to me because you're right. There is something like a 3 prong going on, whereas all 3 tro for MOM were tied up in the mid on flag 9 for whatever reason.
Flag captured.
TMNT does have the lead in terms of flags, I think. Or no, it's tied. But I'm not sure if they tagged their 6th flag first or not.
Flag captured.
I believe
Well, now they're in the lead.
TMNT must have got the first tag because they were on top, so they were winning by perm, and I'm pretty sure they got 7 flags by now.
Yeah,
They
they
just
have
steamrolled
7.
over the east.
Flag captured.
So all they need right now is the northeast and the north flag.
They need 1 and 8. So there's 8 there in the mid,
Flag captured.
middle of the
Victory
north
imminent.
area. Victory imminent. So Rat King's team
Ooh,
fires
they're
right
making a
back.
move.
Flag 5 is all they need. And that's just defended by a couple of, looks like 5 mauls, 6 mauls. Yeah, the Arcade just has, or Limp actually has 2 Mercuridia there. He's waiting for some reinforcement. Actually, there's 3 drone. No, 2. Okay, they're gonna be chased out. I think there's too much melee there.
Yeah, they're gonna play it safe, and plus having that victory imminent and flag rally
Yeah,
basically
that
means you
puts you
can
up.
D up.
That's right. Yeah, so they can actually they can let 1 flag go if they wanted to, and they could still win.
Yeah. I mean, I would. Kilga's kind of trapping
They might
himself
do
in the
that.
south down here.
It looks like they
But I
might
kind
abandon Adrenaline on flag 1. But yeah, you're right. He's backed himself into a corner. There's a lot of Solace on this map, taken by both teams actually. Which I guess when there's Tro present, I mean it's not so bad to be kind of heavy on the Solace. Kind of a pathing problem there, as he goes on the wrong side I think than he wanted to, with one of those Tro taking some needless damage, getting ticked down by those javelins.
Yeah, man, that's their job, and they're doing it pretty well. Nice to
Uh-oh.
hear. Oh,
Yeah, there's
LK's
some.
gonna turn around, but
Yeah, he just
GKG too
wants to
quick.
remind GKG that, hey, look, I know how to play this game.
And with those souls there, I mean,
Uh-oh, he might actually move in on the Solus. Interesting move. Nope, he's going to turn around and back out, but he might be punished for his efforts. Let's see if he's able to dodge all these. Yeah, so far so good. Oh, he takes 1 right there. But anyway, there's more things happening. A huge shot Gecko on, looks like that Merc pack. Was able to do a lot of damage on Kruniak's units. Oh, another beautiful shot. A suicide shot there from that Mortar Dwarf. I mean, they lost a lot of units, but I think they made up for it, taking out 4 or 5 Mercuridia. Or was
could be
that
worth it.
Gecko?
Ooh, I mean, I don't know. I'm watching what's going on mid over here. We
That's
got
true.
Adren's
He's
just
running in
going
there.
through all their
Oh,
artillery.
man. He's hamming it up.
He's completely ignoring Eastwind's Trow. He already knows he's gonna lose his Trow. He just wants to do as much damage as possible.
Yeah, he's taking out as many Solus as he can. But they're up by this juncture. They have 75, 64%. Oh, nice shot there. I think it was. I'm not sure about that decision to go for the Solus, but it's actually looking like it might work out.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad of a trade-off. I mean, the only real hindrance right now that they have is their Trow overall. I'm pretty sure they have less
Oh,
health
Lizard King just lost a
than the
Tro.
TMNT Trow. Oh, did he?
Yeah. So
That's
things have
unfortunate.
evened up somewhat in terms of the Tro, considering
They're
that
still up 10%.
Adrenaline is so low on health. So the numbers might be misleading as actually, yeah, so I don't think there's any heals, and Adrenaline is, his utility is,
Hey, check out the northeast. We got Kruniak moving in these 4 malls, maybe? I mean, if I was him, man, I would go for those 4 malls. I would try to get them aggroed around something or even just walk off the flag. You never know when that can happen. But this is still really close right here, despite, as you said, the misleading percentage.
yeah, but the other thing to consider is the heavy mall presence on flag 8 is kind of interesting, considering that that's a lot of unit trading points, just sort of tied up, defending a single flag. And they're actually defending multiple flags, so there's, 16 unit trading points being tied up on flag 1 simultaneously with all these other malls that basically haven't done anything all game. So despite the fact that all those unit trading points are being tied up, and what's on the defense for TMNT, I guess they have a lot of malls on defense too, but there's more malls, I think, from MoM on D.
I'm pretty sure MoM traded for that from the get-go, just by sacrificing some artillery. And
Yeah.
sometimes having too much artillery can be a bad thing. People
Right.
can attack their own team. As Adrenaline showed, a line of artillery is really tough to protect sometimes, and he kind of just walked right through their artillery. He got 4, 5, 6 kills. It's gonna yield some pretty nice damage for him.
Well, MoM was able to knock GKG's Tro down to half health in exchange for sacrificing one of their warlocks. They still do have Gecko's warlocks, so I think they realized that they could afford to trade that just to get his health a little bit lower, because Eastwind's Tro is pretty high in health.
Flag captured.
Yeah, it seems
Victory
worth
imminent.
potentially. We got Kruniak taking the northeast. He went up there with a Merc pack.
Yeah, percentages are really tight all of a sudden, 55, 54%. I really think Adrenaline could have moved his malls onto flag 8.
I mean, if you strictly went
5
by
minutes
unit trading,
remaining.
a warlock for a half health Trow is fair any day. That's what, 8
Uh-oh.
points for 12. Cool.
Looks like
But they're all-
Eastwind is in the Solus here. They're trying to tick down. Oh! Okay, those Solus are still alive. Looks like Adrenaline finally ends up being stoned, but GKG gets stoned in return. And all of a sudden, it's not looking so bad for MoM. As Eastwind... Oh, never mind, I spoke too soon. Although
Ooh,
Eastwind's
what a
Tro...
more shot.
Eastwind's Tro does go down, however, Osmodian with a huge shot on those Solus, evening the score. (43%). It's really close, but actually that one Tro, Eastwind's Tro, is still alive. If it were taken out, I think it would be firmly in MoM's favor.
As close as percents are right here. After Kroon cleaned up that northeast flag, I feel like if he had went straight to mid and helped clean up that initial attack, initial pinch they tried to do on MoM, I think it would be extremely in TMNT's favor by now. But
Well, some nice
unfortunately,
defense here
these units
from
can't
Shadow.
get jetpacks.
Yeah, I mean Shadow's Shadow's got some nice D going on. And actually, Kruniak is engaging, but he just gets taken out almost immediately as Rat King prioritizes that Tro and makes short
And
work of those Mercuridia. But
it's one of the few situations where picking up all those extra mauls really helps you out.
yeah, definitely. And I actually I thought that might be interesting since mauls are pretty good against just about every unit on this map, except for thing is a single maul will lose to a single Mercuridia, but a pack of mauls, if you know if you micromanage them right, they can do pretty well.
Oh yeah, definitely. If you get like a merc, once they get a certain low percentage of health, they go berserk. So they can attack your own units.
Oh
And
yeah,
if you can trigger something like
it's
that,
a roll of the
sometimes
dice.
it's one of your own mercs that just cleans up all your units.
Absolutely. And check it out, Rat King has a white in the deep below his Solus. I
Hey,
guess
earlier, I was I was thinking like, oh, like you know, Wrecking's in a perfect position to push here, and I completely overlooked and forgot the fact that they were in the flag lead, so they can just
yep,
comfortably back
they're
up
just
here.
coasting. Yeah. There's no Tro remaining for TMNT, and Lizard King has his Tro, but it's very low on health. But still, that's another thing to worry about for TMNT, as they're knocking on the door, but do they have enough? 35, 23%, so there is a considerable spread. They're going to try to make it work. Kron, though, is going to stick to the high ground. He's not going to stick his neck out.
It's the finals. It's definitely worth the attempt, man. It's all or nothing. I mean, I don't see. They took all their units off their last flag except for a single mall, so
Here we
they're
go.
really
Limp,
banking on this push.
Limp with the intangibles. Makes like he's going to run in, but he basically just wants to drain the clock.
Yep.
1 minute remaining.
So he's
And the attention.
keeping. You're right.
Sometimes all you need is one little unit, and
Looks
you
like
can
they're
distract a player with all of their units
Oh yeah,
just by
one
just with
single
one.
unit. Oh no, it looks like
Oof.
whoever that was, I already forgot. Kruniak lost his.
Asmodean
Oh, was that
took a
Osmo? I thought that was
yeah, he took a
Kruniak's.
rough hit.
Yeah, well now Dak all of a sudden finds himself
30
whited,
seconds
and
remaining.
the TMNT offense just gets picked apart. They just walked right into that trap.
Uh, well, what can you do at that point? I mean, I feel like TMNT's best chance to put this, or at least not their best chance, but their last chance to really, put the game back in their favor. They really need Kruniak to just come in and hit that huge mid-force battle that was going on, but instead he wanted to
Game
go mess
over.
around with their North flag, unfortunately.
Hmm.
Ooh, look at that, man. See, Adren, he took all that artillery, man. He ends up with 71 damage. That's a heap loads of damage after they nerfed the damage number a couple patches ago.
Right. Well, it used to be some kind of like multiplier that
Yeah,
included a
multiplied by
fraction.
about
Yeah,
like 2.5.
but now it's just comprised of the unit trading points of the how much damage stacked throughout the game. But yeah, you're right. He did manage to do a lot. What I mean, Lizard King had the remaining trope, but and it looks like all the lion's share of his kills were with his tro. What adrenaline were all his kills on the artillery for TMNT?
Um, not all of his kills. The most important ones I saw definitely were on that artillery, but I mean,
Because
I don't
he
know if he
also kicked a lot of
recognized
Solus. Yeah.
I don't know if he recognized the difference in the strategy. I mean, I know he kicked a couple souls here and there, but those artillery kicks, that's like twice the amount of damage. And I saw him kick at least 3 or 4. Like he really went right through it. He was like, "Fine, I'm gonna take the damage. I'm gonna trade off, get rid of some of their artillery," and that ended up putting GKG's team in a pretty bad position to come back later and push. Like if that end battle, if they had like another warlock or another mortar, who knows what could have happened at that end flag battle? You know, you might have the explosions to take out all that extra melee.
Yeah, it's true. And Lizard King, I'll note, only had 2 units, the Tro and something else. But yeah, he only lost 1.
Yeah, man, he's magic like that.
But Shadow actually got a lot of damage, 49. I'm guessing he had Solus. I mean, what do you think he had? Pretty sure he had
Yeah,
Solus. Yeah, he had the
I mean the
defending
trials in this
Solus.
game ate a lot of souls, a lot of soul spears, and he must have hit some artillery too. For sure. I mean, he's got 7 kills, so it can't all be going to a trial. Whereas you see someone like Gecko, he has 2 kills, 38 damage.
Hmm.
I would hypothesize he probably had some souls too. But
Yeah, it's a
I
good
mean,
point.
I might be completely wrong.
No, I think you're right. Yeah, so anything you want to note about TMNT, their stats this game?
I mean, Eastwind, he did really well this game. Kruniak got some pretty nice damage. I mean, his ratios aren't perfect. They're better than a lot of his team. I feel like if he had moved on mid instead of going and sticking around, trying to provoke a shadow that last flag, I feel like we could have seen a whole different ending right there. And then you just see really low turnout by
Yeah,
at the
everyone
beginning
else.
we
Yeah, I'm
talked
gonna.
about the core players and
That's
the
right.
support players, and you've got
You
these
see it
5
right
support
here.
players who have a combined 5 kills. Like that's pretty bad. They got mismatched. I mean, Adren was able to kick a lot of their units just with his one trow, you know.
Right. Yeah, I'll note that the 3 core players for TMNT, their damage numbers are all pretty comparable. Whereas, for everyone else, I mean, Osmodian had some pretty good damage, and Dak did as well. But the 3 other players, it's almost like they didn't really get to do much of anything.
Yeah, it seems
So,
definitely seems that way. I mean, like
well,
just 0 kills,
yeah,
10 or less damage for all 3 of them. I mean, that's tough. I
yeah,
mean,
it's a
that's bound to happen on a dark map where you only have like maybe 1 or 2 artillery and it just gets kicked and you're completely out of the game. Whereas in light maps, damage and ratios and stuff like that, you can be a little more resilient. Losing that key unit might not completely fuck you over. You can still
right,
be able to
yeah.
turn something out of nothing. But in the case of dark maps, it's extremely tough to do. I mean, at that point where they lose their artillery piece, how else are they supposed to do damage besides maybe a melee scuffle?
Well, check out the chat. Limp says good communication, best game in years, he says. But
Oh,
yeah, I
I
mean
mean, I
the
take that to heart, dude, because I played with him all summer long. How can you be saying that? Oh my god. But yeah, man.
okay.
They had good communication, man, and I mean,
Well, they took the lead
T-
here in Game 5. I mean, they're up 3 games to 2, and
yeah.
we've yet to cover the last 2 games. So I guess we should get on that. Game 6 coming up.
Ooh, will we be going to sudden death? Who knows?
I don't know.
Should
Find
be
out.
interesting.
All right, welcome back, everyone. It's NewMutator, joined by Paris. We're casting the Myth World Cup 2015 finals, and we're already in Game 6, with the score being 3 games to 2 in favor of MoM over TMNT. What do you think of the match so far, Paris?
It's been really interesting. A nice close matchup, and on a bunch of maps that most of these players probably aren't familiar with.
Well, this
And
one, this one I
now we're
think
going
is
to
in everyone's playbook.
Yeah, now we're going to game 6. It's on Karakadan Light. I mean, this has been a staple for years. Was all the way back, even in Myth World Cup 1998, I believe it was even in. Or no, I'm sorry, not the the Fallen Lords one. Myth World Cup 1999. You can find this plugin downloadable on their website, man.
Huh.
So this is a classic right here. So it's gonna be nice to see how things go down.
Yeah, it's like there's a one side or like the raiders and the other side is like the villager, protecting it. You know what I mean? There's like some kind of there's almost like a story with the sides. The
Yeah,
starts.
that was an old touch. All of the old maps used to have, the map makers would put in extra lore. And I
Yeah.
never really noticed that until now, actually.
All right, so yeah, I mean, last game, pretty interesting. But here we are, game 6. I mean, this is TMNT's chance to even the score, and it's MoM's chance to close it out.
Well, at the same time, they wouldn't be able to close it out because under the format of MWC, which should have been updated long ago, you have the sudden death. So you got the top bracket champions. They're safe.
That's true.
TMNT safe. They could lose this game. It still has to go to sudden death. So technically, Rat King's team needs 3 victories in a row here to really close it out. Whereas if TMNT wins this game, wins the next game, it's all over. So the
True.
pressure's still pretty high. It's still in anyone's ballpark.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it never wasn't. But I bet you Rar is just wringing his hands, thinking if only he had a chance. But I guess he had to go to Vegas or something, whatever. Anyway, what do you notice about these trades?
You'll notice that GKG team opts for, more artillery,
Wow.
but
Game
0 archers. I'm sorry.
Dwarves?
0 artillery and lots of archers, whereas you got Rat King's team, they're getting
You
even
got
mixed
3
match.
dwarves. Rat King's team took dwarves. GKG, I don't think GKG took dwarves.
Nope, not at all.
I
Seems they're
think-
going.
Yeah, I think they're going for the supremacy in terms of archers and pus, and they just figure between those between the archers and the pus, there's that's it. That they don't need dwarves.
Captured.
Plus, there's the river in the middle. The utility of the dwarves is severely hampered by the fact that there's all this water. There's nothing to set those off except for whites, but nobody uses land whites or sinks whites here. They just melt them for pus.
Yeah, you'll very seldom see the whites get used in the water here, but when they're sunk and undetected, and you have that mid-fight going on, things can be disastrous.
Oh yeah.
You're more likely to see the whites get
Flag
sunk on the
captured.
dark version anyway, because then you have the souls in the water, and they can really
True.
just ruin everything.
Yeah, the utility is just it's not quite there on a dark map too. You don't really have goals, right? So there's not really much reason to get
Flag
whites
contested.
in the first place.
Yep.
Flag contested.
Or just points the trade away most of the time. See, you'll notice GKG's team is centering around the middle here.
Mhm.
They'll probably adjust later on.
Yeah,
if
I like-
need be.
I like this strat that they got. They're scouting the sides. It's territories, so it's not like there's any rush to tag all the flags or anything. They just need to keep one flag to not be eliminated. And it looks like that one flag is this middle flag. Even though all those fire arrows went down, they haven't had too many casualties, and they're able to hold on to this high ground, which can give them a certain advantage.
Flag contested.
Oh, for sure. Especially when it comes to Terry's, like you said, all you have to do is hold one flag. They're really just overwhelming this mid here. There's no warrior support, which would really be helpful when with all this pus going on.
Well, Gecko's coming in.
just late. Gecko's just late to bring any of his melee up and help and assist.
Oh man, and he gets pussed almost immediately by Kryptos. Crypto's taking out just about all of those. Oh, and the fire arrows coming down from
Gonna eat 'em.
TMNT. Oh, yeah. I gotta feel bad for Gecko at this point. That's basically like all their melee. I mean, I don't know who else do they have. But the weird thing is that
They got 2 more packs. But those packs are up in the north, man. They're far away. I don't think Rat King's team should have engaged at all here.
well, the weird thing is TMNT retreated for a second before continuing the advance. And I
maybe
think
it
that
would have thrown them off. Maybe they were just waiting for their captain's orders.
I think that moment
But,
of hesitation might have bought MoM some time, although they are down, 10 percentage points or so. It's 64-53% now.
I mean, light maps, when it comes to percent, it's so much more even, and you can really read the game through the percentages usually. And in the last map, we noticed that it's a little bit more difficult to tell,
Right.
on dark maps.
With the Tro and they're stoned or whatever. Yeah, I mean, there's a significant archer advantage here for TMNT, as well as something of a warrior advantage. Even though they're pushing uphill, I think they're able to leverage that range advantage a little bit to basically control the tempo, the movement of the game.
Oh yeah, they have too many archers for MoM to deal
For
with
this
right
point
now.
in time, yeah. I mean, MoM, all of their unit trading points are in everything else at this stage of the game. 50%.
And
Captured.
they're basically sitting here trying
Damage
to play
over
the
time.
archer fight too.
They
but
have
this
to
is
rush.
already over.
They have to rush. They don't have a choice. They have to rush in. Or take damage over time. I mean, it's one or the other. But
Well, quite honestly, if they had just backed off earlier, not engaged that at all, they'd be in a much better position to play the flag game, seeing as how GKG's team is just all centered here in the middle.
well, rushing isn't so bad because TMNT doesn't have any dwarves, although there's tons of pus.
They have
Actually,
a
HMP
huge
just gets
melee
pussed.
advantage, though.
Yeah.
You gotta consider, Gecko lost his entire pack. That's
Yeah, pretty much.
9 out of 27. That's a third of your warriors gone right there.
But there's a
So even if they
couple of
did rush right
dwarves.
here,
There's a couple of
outmatched.
dwarves for threatening from. So as long as they can stay in the game, it looks like they are with Limp, basically keeping them in at 40 to 50%. I mean, they tighten it just a little bit, although Lizard King just gets pussed and destroyed. So 49-33%. So that was actually kind of disastrous. And I mean, there's this melee battle, but yeah, there's all of a sudden it's like, where are the units for MoM? They're just nowhere to be seen. Completely destroyed.
Oh yeah.
There's some archers.
Man.
Like, check it out. Kron's there, but that,
Whew.
Yep.
It's just one of those games again where you want your opponent to play your game.
Yeah.
TMNT wanted
TMNT.
that mid fight.
They got to play the game they wanted to
took
play.
It, man.
Yep. Whereas in the previous game, MoM, it was kind of questionable, but but they, I mean, they took command, but here they're reacting.
Flag captured.
Yeah, man, that's game. Wow. Now we're just gonna watch them.
Pretty much
catch
0%.
up on the other shit.
They have
Well,
a
so-
single thrall remaining. They have 0% on the board.
5 minutes remaining.
Unfortunately, you can't self-destruct a thrall.
Flag captured.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks like Osmo's gonna. Adrenaline's moving him up to sacrifice him for the sake of getting on to Game 7. But yeah, 43% remaining for TMNT.
Team eliminated.
It seems as if, like, if MoM had implemented their two-pronged strategy, they would have had their mid stay passive, back up, and then all of a sudden you have those 2 warrior packs flank around behind the enemy's stuff, and I don't know if that would have even been enough to
Well,
to deal with TMNT shit, because they could have just sat on mid with all those archers for pretty much the whole
right.
game.
Yeah, if you
And if
remember, that was their number one objective for TMNT. Take the mid hill, stop at nothing, just control that, and from there, we will basically that's the one piece of real estate that determines the fate of the game, according to this strategy, right? That's how it appears to me.
I mean, that's what they were playing, but then, the MoM played right into it. I
Hmm.
mean, they immediately started attacking that mid, even though they have such a huge arch disadvantage. They're moving their slower units forward, so all of those slow units in the water, they got chopped up really easily. Um, I mean, it was a matter of MoM fighting a battle they wouldn't win. Even if their warrior flanks had gotten around, that still takes a substantial amount of time, and their mid was just in too much of a rush to
So you
wait for those flanks to develop and get that distance.
so you're saying their mid should have backed off immediately once they saw that TMNT had taken it. They should have disengaged.
Yeah, man. Like, I don't know if they were counting players and percents wrong, or they were just reading the situation wrong. But it seemed like, when you're doing the two-pronged strategy, you want a flank, especially one that's not going to meet any opposition, to be able to get in position.
I mean, that's
And
a
they basically started fighting maybe 50% of their units versus 100% of units. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's a
And half their team is just off in the distance, being like, "Why are you guys already attacking?"
yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, if they had disengaged, TMNT would have had to break up their force to grab the remaining flags, and they could have been systematically dismantled by the melee focus for racking instead of the taking a very heavy archer strat. They took one with dwarves and everything else. I feel like they could have changed the game to their advantage had they um, stopped to reconsider, taking the strategic middle hill. Perhaps they could have backed off and forced TMNT to play a different game, and maybe they could have turned things around to their advantage.
See, throughout this entire match, TMNT is in a comfortable spot, unless sudden death is pressured. And meanwhile, you see MoM, they showed up on demand. They needed subs. And at this point, at least with this game, you can see a little bit of impatience
Check it
causing
out.
them to make some huge mistakes. I mean,
Check,
during the game, I
yeah.
also saw Limp giving more orders than Rat King. There was just a real bad adjustment. But
Well,
what are you saying?
I want to direct your attention to the two players with the least amount of damage for MoM.
And they also both controlled war packs, unfortunately. But
12
yeah,
losses
man.
apiece. Yep.
Yeah, you had Gecko's pack all clumped together perfectly. I mean, that's like a godsend you want as a player with a goal. You want all those units clumped together, and he just got destroyed. Wasn't able to deal out any real significant damage in return. And by the time Limp showed up, I mean, he was rushing just for the fuck of it. He was probably frustrated at that point
Well,
that
by
the
that
rest of the
point, they had
team was
already
already
lost
dead.
Gecko, yeah. So, what else can you do? Your archers are all, gone, basically. All you have are, your dwarves and your melee. I mean, they have a ton of archers. You have to rush or something. What? It's either rush or just completely abandon your slower units and just hope for the best. And neither option really seems like something that somebody would willingly accept, or willingly choose.
Yeah. It's nice to see Captain have a nice solid game here, 11-1.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's pretty impressive, actually.
That's the best performance I've seen from him during this whole match. And while MoM played like right into TMNT's trap, at the same time. Being able to just keep your units alive like that and remain versatile, that's what's gonna win you games at the end of the day, whether someone throws you the game or not. Like
Well,
being able to stay alive.
well, Captain had the archers, and they were pretty well protected the entire match, or the entire game, I should say. So, yeah, he did pretty well with those archers, getting the damage necessary to put his team over the top. Well, with that, let's move on to the final game, Game 7 of the Myth World Cup 2015 finals, grand finals.
Or is it the final game?
I don't know. We'll find out. Game 7 coming up.
Over.
Word, man.
All right, everybody. It's NewMutator with Paris, and we're casting Game 7 of the Myth World Cup 2015 grand finals. This is a match between MoM and TMNT. It's gone on 6 games so far. And so far, it's tied 3 games apiece. And my voice, I apologize, but I've been casting all night. But yeah, how's it going, Paris? You there? Help me
Yeah,
out.
man, I'm
Help
still
me out.
here. My voice is starting to die too, but here we are at Game 7. Right now, MoM, if they win, we're going to sudden death, and TMNT can face elimination. But right now, TMNT is just 1 game away from becoming the finals champions and putting this tournament to rest. So we'll have to see how this turns out.
Yo, check out the trades. Pretty amazing. I mean, TMNT going again for a heavy archer strat.
Yep, and no warlocks, which is actually a pretty reasonable strength in this map. I mean, not only are there hard counters to fetch here and present, but you also have these huge crevices throughout the map, and warlocks can't shoot through that, so they lose even more value on this map. Interesting to see all the archers, but it's gonna help support them to help support their team's fetch to eliminate the enemy team's fetch.
Well, the other
Sometimes
thing
that-
too, sorry to interrupt, but the other thing too is the chasms actually offer some protection for the archers.
Oh yeah, that's a very good point as well.
But what were you gonna say?
Probably nothing but garbage.
Yeah, but of course you gotta max out fetch on this map. I mean, that's the only logical choice because fetch they have just so much utility. They can block arrows, they can block everything, any kind of projectile, and deal massive damage to clumped units.
You'll also notice here that GKG's team, they only opt for 3 weights, so that's going to be 6+ goals max, whereas RK is trading for an abundant amount of goals and all six weights. So that's 6 of his herons. Half of their herons are not going to have heals, and they also have a lot of pus. If you look at GKG's trade, he doesn't have the warlocks that need the extra pus. Like, there's some archers and there's the 6 fetch, but pus isn't really effective against fetch. Fetch can just zero that out if it's already in the air being thrown.
Right. I mean, fetch are a super hard counter to goals and goals with pus even, and goals with pus can even be a liability on a map with fetch because they can just blow up and all the units nearby are basically taken with them or get paralyzed. And so, I mean, is it even worth it to take pus on this map? And we saw in the previous King of the Map game that we casted just how little utility goals had in a King of the Map endgame scenario.
Yeah, man. And especially on a map that's also featuring spiders. I mean, I feel like the value of those goals go down even more.
Yeah, spiders are cheaper, and I mean, they can go places the goals can't go.
In this map specifically, though, or at least in this game, MoM isn't looking to use those goals as taggers this time around. They
Flag
realize the spiders
captured.
can just do that job. All of those
Flag
goals are pretty
captured.
much specific,
Flag
pus goals.
contested.
Right.
But with half the
Flag
enemy's
captured.
melee being herons
Flag
and the other half being
captured.
mercs, how effective is that really going to
Hmm.
be?
That's a good point. Maybe they're hoping to sneak
Flag
some in
captured.
and take out some fetch. I mean, but that's a risky proposition. I'm just not sure that this is the trade that they needed.
Flag contested.
That puts them at a percentage disadvantage from the beginning.
Flag captured.
Just puts too much emphasis on something that can go
Flag
wrong. That's one thing
contested.
about pus and
Flag
dwarf bottles
contested.
and mortars in this game. Them shits can dud. This game is not that consistent, you know. So you really never know what can happen, and putting all your faith into something that only has a 75% chance of working,
Flag
that's pretty
contested.
risky.
Are you talking about pus?
Flag captured.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's risk
Yeah.
versus reward.
Yeah,
I
I
mean, the
mean,
archers are great here too. They
Flag
got that range,
captured.
like you
yeah.
mentioned, and I think it's gonna be a real problem
Flag
here for
captured.
MoM's fetch once TMNT get around the map and get
Captured.
comfortable.
Yeah, most definitely. And already
We got
there's
a pus wasted mid. We got a mark going crazy mid.
yeah.
Oh man, it's maps like these where you
Oh, a pus goes
and
down,
that fetch is
freezes.
pussed.
Yeah.
Damn.
But where's
Unlucky for captain.
but
Who I
where's
consider is one
Oh,
of the
yeah,
best
there we go.
fetches out there.
Flag
Oh, but
contested.
TMNT responds
Flag
almost
contested.
taking out Adrenalines, but you got to remember there's very precious few. Oh, okay. So yeah, MoM was able to take out a few of these fetch. Almost all of them. The one survives. And actually they lost
Adren's-
one too, yeah.
Yeah, he's continuing to push with that fetch. There's just too much
Too many archers, yeah.
and the backup fetch coming. They just need to get out of there. Yeah, they're getting out of there now. There you go. There you go, guys.
Captured. Flag
Yeah, and already they're
contested.
down almost
Flag
10%.
captured.
I mean, Eastwood and Cryptos are like right by him too, so they
Flag
really need to
captured.
get out of there.
Flag
Reform.
captured.
What's going on in the west? We got Asmo tagging some flags. That's
Flag
about it.
contested.
Dedicated flag tagger.
Flag captured.
Yeah, we used to, refer to in the old days as
Flag
thrall
captured.
duty.
Flag captured.
But
Yeah, it's not looking so great for MoM at this point. I mean, I think they shot their wad kind of early with the that gambit on the fetch, and it didn't really work out the way they wanted. They
Flag
ended up
captured.
losing fetch of their own, and they weren't able to really put the nail in the coffin of the third fetch. So it didn't really work out the way that they were hoping,
Flag captured.
and
Flag
it just it didn't seem to be worth it in the end because of the costs that they incurred
Flag
in order to
contested.
even be in a position to do
Flag
that.
Contested.
The payoff wasn't good enough.
yeah, I mean they have I think they have the fetch advantage now by one,
Yeah,
but
Flag.
at
but
the
the
same
archers, yeah,
Flag
they have a huge
captured.
melee disadvantage just from
Flag
trying to get those
captured.
fetch. They've wasted a number of pus.
they have a
And they're literally just getting pushed back right now, having
Yeah.
very little response.
Flag
They
contested.
have they're down by almost 8 flags. They're just completely outmatched here. It seems. Hopefully they can turn it
captured.
around.
Flag
well, they just sort of wasted a Pusco. I mean, it was able to take out one archer, but then it just
Flag
rushed in and got zapped. I think he
Flag
was hoping to
captured.
disrupt the rhythm of the enemy fetch, but the team just wasn't there to capitalize on it. And actually, another
Yeah.
fetch goes down to Archer Fire, Lizard King getting sniped by GKG.
Flag contested.
See those fetch right there, man. They need to. I don't even know. I would get risky right there. I would say, hey, let's push that. We gotta zap all
Yeah.
that with our fetch.
If
and
you
try to
stagger-
give ourselves.
If you stagger
Some
the
kind of
zaps, you can take out the arrows as they come in. I mean, it
Flag
could work to your
captured.
advantage. I think
Flag
I don't know. You would have to have somebody who really can handle fetch
contested.
and micromanage them really well. But as it is right now, I mean, there's 3 players handling. Well, now there's 2 players handling 3 fetch, as Lizard King just ended up
Flag
getting abandoned, basically.
And you see, they have to.
Captured.
TMNT has to push through those two
Flag
gaps that are pretty
contested.
closely together right there. I don't know. I think their only chance to really turn it around would have been being able to get TMNT into a trap right there, which,
Contested.
that's one team you're gonna have trouble with putting into traps like that.
Yeah, and as you can see, I mean, GKG's team, Team NC, they control the entire map. They have 11 flags to 6, 65% to 35%. If you're on MoM, this has got to be disappointing.
Contested. Flag.
That's what I would say. There's like, I think everyone on MoM is just like, who dropped the ball? Who can I blame? And Rauer just blames his team.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and Ron's like, well, I wasn't there, guys.
Contested.
Oh man, yeah. Well, Aurora was telling me that he's not gonna watch the final films, and I mean, he can probably watch all of them except for this one and be okay about it, because here they're just outmatched.
Captured.
The archers do a number
Flag. Captured.
on racking stuff. I haven't seen a single warlock ball that actually hit something substantial. So the warlocks were completely useless here. And
Flag.
right now it seems like it's cleanup duty. GKG's team is a whole 19, 17, 16, almost 20 minutes ahead of the other team in time.
There's no way to take that back.
Left, that's not at all, especially with such a huge percentage advantage.
I mean, you could take it back theoretically. You could take it back theoretically, but I think TMNT just has too many units. A dud pus does go down. I mean, this could be an opportunity. Kron moving in, trying to take out Kruniak, but I don't know. Oh, Kruniak's going to get that pus.
I mean, TMNT just did a really nice job just controlling all the map from the get-go.
Flag captured.
And I don't know, man. That initial mid push by MoM ends up being a costly mistake. I feel like maybe they should have waited it out a little more and see how the flanks develop. I mean, you don't really want to be fighting in that mid position when the enemy has archers too, because then all hell can just rain down on your artillery pushing. It's a really poor position to be pushing through on this map.
Flag contested.
Well, unfortunate for MoM, it looks like they just got cleaned up, all their herons, who didn't have heals because they used them on the whites. But I'll note that MoM dropped both King of the Map games, perhaps due to unfamiliarity. Perhaps GKG just knows what he's doing. He is the person responsible, essentially, for that game type being included in Myth. That game type is a recent addition and was his suggestion, so it does make sense. I mean, one could, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist or anything, but one could make the argument that there's some shenanigans going on in the finals map picks and game types.
Oh yeah, of course, and I mean, at the same time, any team that's going up against a team captained and led and directed by GKG, you're going against John Madden of Myth. He's got the playbook. These strats are already created in advance. You might want to go and do your own strat work, maybe even check out what he does on his maps to maybe set up a counter or something if there is one. But this is stuff that he's planned in advance like years ago. So it's something, these are strats he's comfortable with, he's ran through before. I mean, it was nice to see what he would do on some of these new maps. Just because, like, you never know what the possibilities on those maps are yet. But by far, he is the big daddy of King of the Map, that is for sure.
Yeah, those new maps created by players on his team, I'll note. So one could make that case. But, that goal is going to get run down. I guess spiders are faster than goals.
Oh, yeah?
So,
you didn't know that, huh?
Yeah, I guess there's there's
1
almost,
minute remaining.
I would say that if I were to captain,
Flag
and
contested.
if I knew what I was doing, which I totally don't, I would
None of us do,
probably,
man.
I'd probably go for very few goals. So instead of going all out on the Puss goal strat, I think Arcade just assumed that max Puss goals is gonna, it's the thing to do, like a formula or something when it comes to
30
unit
Yeah.
seconds
trading.
remaining.
He probably just relied on that, and it just bit him in the butt.
Yeah, it totally backfired. Um,
Flag
it's totally
captured.
risky opting for that max plus strat, and I mean, especially on like this is more of a dark map than a light map. You got the fetch, you got the warlocks, you got the mercs, you got the herring guards. Plus isn't really effective in those situations, whereas on a light map with warriors, thrall, archers, you can really wreak havoc. Dwarves. That's what they're really good at countering. Not powerful, tough melee or melee that can't be plus or fetch, of course,
Right,
as we see.
fetch is basically the hard counter because you can't even get close. But I mean, it looks like Dak posting up the numbers here for TMNT. Coming through in Game 7, 46 damage, going to be the most on his team, and indeed in the entire game, 18 kills. I guess he single-handedly won TMNT this game. I don't know. What did he even have?
I guess we should have been paying attention, man. I mean, people were giving us leads that he was the MVP. Let's see. He's only got one survivor now.
Yeah,
There's about
I
6
can't seem to
losses.
find it.
With the way they split it up, I mean, Cryptos
Oh,
has
there it
two
is.
fetch.
Oh, he
One
had a Heron Guard with 7 kills on it. So, yeah,
This Harry must have chopped some shit up then, man. And then
I
he
guess
had more
so.
than that though.
Yeah, he definitely did. He had 6 losses, but who knows what they were. Maybe he had a Heron pack.
I think he might have had 1 or 2 pus as well because, I mean, TMNT went low on the pus, but I think they definitely gave some to him, and you can get pretty nice damage from a pus landing on some fetch or some artillery. I mean, we got to consider all the warlocks that Wrecking's team chose
That
to
could have
use
been
as
it
well.
too. He might have nabbed a Warlock kill or something like that. Because
You
that's
definitely couldn't say that he didn't
that's 8
carry
damage.
here. He did big work.
Yeah, GKG predictably posting high damage himself.
Always a tank. And then you got Eastwind doing his thing. Crypto's a support player, 0 losses. That's what you like to see. Like when your supports are playing well, you'll be able to tell, and your team's gonna win more often than not. Limp seems like he had a pretty shoddy game. 6 damage, like 1 damage point for every unit he lost. That's not really efficient at all. I think he died in the initial mid rush. I think he wanted to rush mid after he watched his team fight mid the game before, but I don't know. That's
Oh,
just me.
yeah. Maybe he got impatient. Maybe he was trying to make something happen, and in the end, who knows? Maybe it would have been better to have Rar on your team, but I guess we'll never be able to test that hypothesis, at least for now.
Well, I'd argue when you're building your team and you're getting chemistry together, and you got someone who's been there for the first 5 weeks and he can't be there at the end, whereas you have someone who's coming in, even though he has a reputation to be a smart myther, a pretty good, capable, solid player. It's totally different. It's like having a new face on your baseball team, man.
Yeah.
It's like, who's this new guy? Like
Yeah.
the chemistry is kind of different than like a family scenario.
No,
But
you're right. You're right.
I still think they performed pretty well given the circumstances. I mean, it's all up to speculation if we want to believe or think that Roar would have had an impact or not, or if Slate showed up. Slate
Oh, true
absolutely
that.
decimated 2 or 3 players.
Oh yeah, in
in
the
that
one
versus
one-on-one
one
tournament. Yeah, Slate
And
was another missing piece of the puzzle. I didn't even think of that. That's the other player that MoM had to find a substitute for.
I mean, he's not the best at team games, but I mean, the way he took out those
Well,
players in the
I don't
1v1,
know.
there's definitely some skill
There's
to
something
admire
there.
over there.
There's something there. All right, well that's gonna wrap it up. thanks a lot for joining me, Paris. That I think that helped things quite a bit actually. And get another perspective in there. Hope people found these enjoyable. I should say. You can tell it's late.
Yeah, man.
But
Exactly.
congratulations to TMNT, this year's
Yeah.
winner of the
Woo!
Myth World Cup, and I guess they're gonna receive copies of Deadhold.
If that ever gets released.
Well, I'm sure it will eventually, but we'll see. We'll see. It does. It looks like an interesting game. Like I want to. Have you played it?
Yeah, I've played it. It's okay. It's still so raw though. They're still trying to figure out what they're gonna do with the engine and what the units are gonna do and how the unit interaction is gonna be. And it's still just so very, very basic. And a thing about a lot of these early release titles, these alpha titles that go launch on Steam, like 80-90% of them never see the light of day in a full release. Some of them don't even make it to beta.
Well,
So
dude,
hopefully they'll be able to get something together.
on but
Because
just talking about that, I mean, that's true of even games that are released. I mean, most games that get released are incomplete, or feel incomplete, and then DLC, which would have completed the game, gets released later on to round it out.
yeah, or updated patchwork and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
stuff like that. So it's like it's a rarity to see a completed game shipped these days.
yeah, man. And it's interesting to think that Myth long ago, yeah, people played it differently and people were clumping their archers, but it was also a much different game. Um, People being able to change their formations and observer constants didn't really become prominent until later on, and at the same time, people are using a melee system with completely different algorithms in 1998, in 2000, 2001, than they are in 2003 or 4, or now in 2015. They're all different metas basically.
Right.
But for
Yeah.
sure, man, TMNT is dominating this patch and this meta.
So it seems. We'll have to see if they decide to defend their dynasty next year or not.
Hey, everyone wants to be Michael Jordan in the Chicago Bulls, bro. So all they need is one more, and then there's 6.
All right, well, that's going to be it from me. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed these casts, and I'll continue to provide content when I have the opportunity, but I appreciate all your support. And yeah, we'll see you next year by the latest, I hope.
Take care.
Over.
Cool, man.